Hopefully everything is linked okay. I feel rusty for taking a week off. What is happening, Fish and Friends? Welcome to another live. Hopefully we're working here. Took a week off. Took a little bit of time off social media, to be honest. People were asking if I was okay and stuff. I appreciate folks checking in with me, but just need a little bit of a rest. Just a rest. So we're back for the Saturday Night Live. Got old Dizzle with us. Randall, how are you?
Doing well. Glad to be back and glad to hear you're doing okay, man.
I am. Thank you, sir. And Shan the man, how are you, Shan, down there in the Floridian weather? What's it like down there?
Doing well, thank you. It's good, man. It was about 70 degrees today.
Oh,
80 yesterday. So we had a little, a little snap off, a little cool, a little dip in the weather right there. Kind of got cool. So
sounds
you
rough.
guys are trapped up north and in the nice and the snow and everything. So yeah, it's nice, man. You guys
sorry for that, dude. I would love to. I wish I could. I wish I could travel a whole lot more with my job, but it doesn't allow that much. So tonight's going to be a fun one. So I've tried to put together some new trivia. I've tried to think of things. Randy and I did one doing like a cost, like a higher lower thing. That was pretty fun. We'll have to get more stuff lined up for that one. Tonight, though, I don't know how this is going to work. I literally just got on. My family was here, so we were hanging out, and I've got some things ready here. So hopefully we're going to kind of roll into it, and hopefully this will work because you two are going to be going head to head on these. You're going to take turns. Yeah. Oh yeah. And Shan, there's no Google that can save you on these too. So none of that BS.
Okay.
No. Yeah. No, there's no Google trivia.
That's usually
no Google
trivia, man. So
that's what I figured. Help. Yeah, no getting chats help. You can't be looking at that cheating.
That's how I do everything. How to catch fish, all of it.
So do I. I have no clue what I'm doing. I just like YouTube stuff.
Google it. Just Google it.
Yeah, make a video and hopefully it looks good. I don't know what that. But tonight, so I want to know. Okay, so for updates for me, I've not been fishing. I haven't done anything down here. As far as filming and stuff, it's been very. I've kind of been disconnected from stuff for a little bit. So all my winners, I still haven't got winter stuff out yet, and I apologize to everybody. It's supposed to be a lot faster with the thermal printer. Take a drink. Just some Sprite Zero for me tonight is all. But everybody, I do have you all written down. I will get your stuff out, so I have not forgot about you. I don't know why people are writing. My girls are writing random things on my my board here. So
that's for business use only.
Yeah, this is the fish and whiteboard girls be doing that stuff. So tonight, trivia. Like I said, we're going to do some trivia. I'm going to get some giveaways going, so there'll be a huge, probably be $100 bill getting everything sent out next week. All this stuff, plus what we're doing tonight. So I've got a few giveaways. I've got some shirts. I've got a bunch of tackle I need to get rid of. Okay, I've got too much. So it's going to be some fun giveaways. So let's see if this will work. Randall, show us your jig box that you're clanking around over there while I get this ready real quick.
It's not a
cool lure too.
It's not a jig box per se, but I did want to bring this up. I picked this up. It's the Berkeley fishing spooler thing. And like it's got these little arms that pop out like you're a Ghostbuster. I've only used this for a spinning reel, and I absolutely hate it. Full on
good investment.
Just hate everything about it. The reel doesn't stay on well enough. The spool doesn't stay on the where it's supposed to hold it well enough. But I did pick up a Plano jig box that looks something like this. So we got some swim jigs.
It keeps them nice and organized. I do like that. Do you feel like you're going to be able to get enough in there? Or anybody else that's used that, feel free to comment in the chat. Can it hold quite a bit?
I mean, I don't even know how many. That's a lot of jigs. I mean, that would last me at least a day.
That'd be a day trip for you.
But I mean, those jigs, not every single hole or space is taken up in there either. I mean, I could rearrange and probably have half of one of those yellow strips full still to use. So I think it's going to be pretty good. And like I said, it's a little bit better.
Oh boy. It's gonna work.
Oh boy. I don't know.
I don't like the view though. Okay.
Did you mean to share that?
Yeah, yep. So that's
Okay.
what it's going to be. But I don't like. Is there a way to do just the? Can only do window. Okay, so I'll have to play a little bit with that on the side, but I think it's going to work. Okay. And Shan, what was the lure that you showed? I've never seen that one before. I know Gambler has some cool stuff, but what's the name of that one?
Yeah, I moved down here. My buddy Ted that I fish with, follower Ted Lincoln. He's got a page on YouTube too. Check him out.
Oh yeah, Ted Lincoln's Life. Yeah.
Yeah, Ted. Man, he just had like a terrible boat fire.
Yeesh.
Damn, I hope he's all right.
Yeah, man, coming home from the lake, the other like a week ago or so. I guess he's looks in the trailer or something. I haven't spoken to him. I just saw he made a post about it. Yeah, he had a real bad. His boat that he kind of inherited has been fixing and everything. Must have had a short. I don't know. But yeah, shout out to Ted. But he showed me Gamblers, and they've got two interesting. I don't have one in the other ones, but I've got this frog that I picked up to show you, and I'm trying to get the right angle on that so you can kind of see that.
Yeah, what's the name of that? Is it on the package?
It's the Gambler.
What's it say down there? On the bottom in the white. Is it Buzz and Cane Toad?
Buzz and Cane Toad. And this color,
the
color is June Bug. But yeah, I think it's really designed to fish just with kind of weightless hook as its own deal across the pads. A surface frog presentation. It's got like speed worm legs. Like that's what I would call it, like a zoom speed worm. So
it's like the horny toad. It's like the zoom horny toad, but like bulked up.
Yeah. So it's interesting. Should make a good like buzzbait trailer too. So yeah. Now they also have a fluke like swim bait up to like 6.5 inch. So I think there was one about 3 or 4 inch one, and there's one that's like a 6 inch one. But it kind of remind you of like a old broken back Rapala or Rapala.
Oh, yeah.
It kind of has that action in the surface. It's almost like a fluke with a paddle tail and a broken back. And again, very good in the pads, very good coming across surface stuff. Doesn't get snagged up. That's the bait that Ted showed me was the more swim bait. Yeah,
Matthew says the easy swimmer. Yeah, I know a lot of guys down in Florida will take like the big easy, which is like their paddle tails, and rig it with just like a very lightly belly weighted hook and run it over the top of the pads like that. Just a belly weighted, swim bait.
I think it's a great little rig, man. I think you could do well on any surface bait for anywhere, not just Florida. But I have never seen them, until I moved to Florida, and now I see them everywhere. So
yeah, I've got a few other things. Actually, I think you can't see it. I've got some of the big easies back there. I'll grab one. I know Mikey Balls. I don't know if he used to be partnered up with them. He used a ton of their stuff, so I've seen a lot of it that way. But this is, sorry if you got a butt crack there. This is the Easy Vibes. I'm sorry. I think the Big Easy is the real big one, but I was using these. Whoops, that's not it. That was a random Reaction Innovations. But these are pretty cool because and this might be what you're talking about. It's got that like pinch in the middle. Yeah.
Yeah.
So those are cool.
Like I said, it kind of almost has that old school like broken back Rapala action.
Yep.
Just subsurface. It's pretty dirty little bait there. I like them.
Yeah, I was messing with these on just like a belly weighted, and that just for comparison, that's the Reaction Innovations Little Dipper, probably my all-time favorite swim bait right there. But yeah, you can see the difference how it's like kinked, like they pinched it in the middle to kind of accentuate that side to side. Yeah, good lures, and they have their garlic stank down. Their lures are pungent.
Yeah, they definitely have the garlic scent covered well.
Shan looks like Dizzle's dad. Yeah, I can see the resemblance there. Two handsome fellas.
Hey, Debo.
Yeah.
Real quick, I just arranged them a little bit better. Like all of
okay.
Those, they're still. That's 20 jigs right there.
Wow.
So plenty of room.
I don't have any of those. That's one. I've got a couple of the bigger ones. I like these for those. I haven't done a bunch of like testing with all the edges. Like I wait until they're like 50% off or whatever. I kind of like these for the backpack that are like really thin because they don't take up a lot of room.
Super thin.
Like it's a super thin stuff. I like it. I mean, I wouldn't say they're my favorite, but I don't hate them. I'm kind of
Yeah. Do you remember those that Daiwa box that I showed you a while back?
Yeah.
It had the foams on the edges.
Yeah.
I actually went back and bought another one for crankbaits. Man, it is amazing. You can't hold a whole bunch in there because you're not going to just pull out one and they're all going to be connected. They all have their individual slot. You can put one on each side. But they're hooked up in the little bit of foam. The rear trailer or the rear treble hooks up to like a little piece of fairly sturdy foam. So super excited about those.
Fisherman 83. So the Berkeley grass pig, man, I've used those for a while. From what I remember, the body's kind of stiff and it just has more movement in the tail. I remember for a while there, I was taking the tail and cutting it on the sides and using it as a chatterbait trailer because the body is like so thick and it's just got a little tiny bit of tail movement. That was actually funny enough. There was guys back in the old days. If you remember Ike's Devil Spear, it kind of reminds you of it's like a spade tail bait, but it's got like broken ridges in it. And guys were cutting those in half and using those as chatterbait trailers. So that's an old secret. If you can still find the Iconelli Devil Spear, that's a cool little. I think I've only got one package left, but a cool little trailer. And of course now they've got so many different kind of jointed trailers and stuff. It's just gone out the roof for chatterbait stuff. So okay, so let's see. Let's do some trivia here. I'm gonna have to get some more ready. Like I said, I just jumped on. If you have questions, we'll try to get to questions. I appreciate everybody being on, of course, all the members, just like my guy Philip Cheek, who I know is a fan of Shan the Man, is talking there in the chat. But Philip's a member, all the other members like Braden, and even if you're not a member, I appreciate the hell out of you guys. 242 people here. Took a week off. We still got almost 250 people hopping in to watch. So appreciate you. And I'm going to try to give back by getting some of this gear out. And I'll have to kind of go back and forth. There might be a lot of up and down tonight while I'm gathering goodies and such. That's a good question, Ben. We might have to do like a best of and not recommendation. What's the word I'm thinking? Guessing some of the best lures of what we think is going to be big, and I think that'll be a good one. Yes, the Deep Early Aggressively Average OG Hype Man in here. What's up, brother? Love the names, dude. Best names on the internet. Okay, so here we go for the first one. Now I might have to kind of set this until we get until I get this figured out where it's going to look, because I've never done this. I always do like my tabs. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. I'm going to pick it. We're going to share it. Okay, so let me see. I'm going to move this. Oh, okay, that works. It looks different on my screen. You can see everything here. Okay, so first one we're going to go to. We're going in Dizzle. Dizzle, you're the first one. You wanted to be on the top of the thing here. Dizzle, what lure is this? Now, the first round, you don't get any hints. Each round, I'm going to back up a little bit and give you a hint. What lure is this?
No hints at all. Nothing.
No hints. No hints for the first round.
I want to say it's a frog of sorts. I don't know what kind of frog. That's
your final guess, just frog?
Yeah.
You suck. Okay. Shan, your turn. No guesses or no hints. First one has to be a guess. What lure is this?
What lure is what I'm looking at on the screen is yellow eyeball?
Yes.
Yeah, that's an old school like cotton cordell.
Ooh, close. So it does have a distinct eye. I like the cotton cordels, different brands. So I'm going to give you a hint. This is a Topwater, one of my favorite old school Topwaters from back in the day. So Randall, here we go. Does this help? Decipher what lure this is?
Yeah, is that a?
I know what it is.
Is it? Oh God! I'm gonna say the Pop R.
Yes. Got it. That is, in fact.
Yeah.
As soon as I saw that edge, I knew what it was, man. On the front edge of that bait, I knew it was a Pop R.
So
Yep.
why? So why was the Pop R so popular? I think the Pop R was such a hit back in the day because as a kid, there's not really like a wrong way to work it. And I think, you know, when you're
Mhm.
young, learning to work one of these, it's not like walking the dog. I mean, you obviously you can, but it's like you're just kind of slowly popping it and blooping it, and you're trying to figure it out. It's not like a cast, buzz bait where you got to be able to, catch up to it. It's one of those lures you can fish slow, fish fast. I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts on the old Rebel Pop R? You a fan?
Chan, go for it.
Sure, man. I've never been I've never been great at surface fishing. Like I've never had great success at it. The most success I've had is with a buzz bait, honestly. But
That's
the Pop
another good
R,
go-to.
the Pop R actually is one of the baits I've had quite a bit of success with. And you can actually walk that bait a little bit, you can get a little
Pop R.
Yeah, a little side to side.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely.
It's got some unique qualities to it. And it very much, I think the guy who made that was probably a fly fisherman because it reminds me very much of flies that I've seen.
Sure. One of those little cork-headed flies. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
They have a very, very similar action to them as well as the old school Pop R. But I think just probably the lip on the front too makes unique sounds, And
I know I've shot
that can't hurt.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so versatile. Like you can walk it in place, you can bloop it, you can spit it faster, just a bunch of different ways to work it. So that is one of my old favorites. So each time I was going to do this different. It's not going to work out the way I thought I was going to be able to do this as far as picking, because I was going to try to keep track and pick a winner in the comments. But I think what we'll do is, I don't know. I'll have to think on that, how we're going to do some giveaways tonight. I should have had this already. You'd think after doing this many lives and giveaways, knowing this is going to be a pain in my butt trying to figure it out. No, oh no, Debo didn't come prepared. So I might just do like some rolling giveaways at the end. So we'll kind of get into some bait stuff and have fun here for a little bit. I'll try to watch comments. If you guys see any comments, Shane or Randall, feel free to grab whatever and run with it or ask the question.
Yeah.
Especially if it's something directed at you or whatever, feel free to hop in. We're here to have fun.
I was really kind of torn on that Pop R just because I couldn't see it. Because I'm looking at my phone right now. And so it's like I couldn't tell if it was Pop R or I knew the hula popper kind of had a little bit of an eye like that, but it had more of like an eyelash kind of eyelid thing hanging over it, didn't it?
Yeah, it was like
The
a
hula
sunken eye.
popper?
I think the hula popper had like a sunken eye divot, if I remember right. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, no, maybe theirs was painted on.
And then I wanted to say, I started out with frog just because it looked like more of a plasticky, like a soft malleable plastic type of thing.
I can see that.
First, so
I can see that. Yeah. Okay.
but yeah,
You don't have to defend yourself, Randall. It's okay that you lost a round.
I'm just saying. I mean,
it's
we
okay.
tied
It's
around
okay that
and then
Sham
I
beat
won
you.
a round. It's okay. Those are so much fun, man. And Debo, we've talked about this before in the past. It's just those like either a buzz bait or a popper or something like that when it's like super late at night. It's just super dark and maybe you have some moonlight, maybe you have a little flashlight, whatever it may be, and you're just throwing that thing out there and you're just popping it, and like a horror movie out of nowhere, this massive explosion happens on your lure and it scares the hell out of you, but it's amazing at the same time.
All right, since we're doing old school, man, I put an old school one the other night. I was fishing, sun's going down, we had nice weather, it's like 80 degrees, so I didn't catch anything, but I just went to the bottom of the box. Really, nothing had been very successful, and I put a jitterbug out in play.
That's exactly what I was literally just gonna say, and you stepped in.
Yeah.
At night when it was dark on my buddy's pond, when we'd camp out there, dude, a black jitterbug, insane.
You know what I forgot about that bait, man, is how it has that. It's erratic. It's got if you get the line out of the water on spinning tackle and keep your rod tip high and just like keep it right to the bait, it'll get a real hard left and right to it that I completely either never noticed or forgot about. But
it almost reminds you of like a little duck skittering across the water.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very, very interesting flutter on the old jitterbug. I didn't get any fish, but I'll keep fishing it. I'll get a picture if I get one.
Throw that baby. Throw it. There was an old frog color too. I remember the black one, and then I had a frog one I would throw during the day. I only had a couple.
They only
Yeah,
came in
those
a
are-
couple colors, didn't they? The yellow one. There was a yellow one.
Yeah, they came in a bunch, and those were one of the early Topwaters, but I don't remember what all colors they came in. I just had the two. I didn't really have a big knowing of baits back in the day. I just had a few that Dad gave me, and I was like, okay, cool, let's go.
That was me, man. I was rocking the plastic worm, the Texas rig plastic worm most of the time.
Such a good catcher. Let me jump through comments here. OG, yeah, the hula popper was another one. Absolutely. I tried fishing that, and I couldn't remember, or I forgot how slow it was to fish, like how big that bloop was, and like how slow you would have to fish that thing. And I'm like, yeah, I'd rather throw a Chapo or something now. Let's see. I love the poppers. Yes, a lot of popper love out there. I like it.
I've always had more success on like the slow roll, like with the spinner bait or the buzz bait, those types of baits, where you just get that cadence going and continue it, you know, and then maybe you add a little micro pause, but you just keep that bait moving most of the time. And I've always had really good success on Topwater with the buzz bait, just doing that, just kind of creating the loudest pop that it makes with whatever that bait is doing, and just let it eat, you know?
Yep. Yeah, the pause is such a big thing. Like I stress that a lot, that even a chopper or a buzzbait, even just giving it that kill and then messing with your speed. So even if, it's like just a continuous roll, just mixing that in sometimes, either a real quick and then coming back or just a quick pause. And I'm not talking like 1, 2, I'm just talking and just that weird little cadence will kind of kick them off.
Yeah, it's funny how it works, but you're right. You nailed it.
Let's go to another one here. Okay, so Shan won. Dizzle, nothing. I should have had sound effects ready and loaded.
Wait, so if I guess it right, I lose, or?
No, he got it right before I did. It was his guess. I knew it.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, you did get that one right. I was thinking Shan got it. I'm sorry.
No.
I apologize. I was wrong.
I could lie and cheat, but
Okay, here we go. So Shan will start this one off. Here we go. All right, lure number 2.
Oh, how specific do you have to be?
You got to be specific. You don't have to give the exact model, but it has to be this lure, this brand. So I want lure and brand. There's a third thing for people that know me. There was a certain angler that made this big. That's all I'm going to say for right now. Matthew, I need a soundboard. If you had one, or if somebody could teach me, that would be fun as hell.
You need the bang, 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 that little horn thing.
Okay, what's the guess?
Kind of blades, man. I don't know. I'm not familiar with that spinnerbait head.
God.
Okay, so Shan's going with
it's a spinnerbait of some kind, I think.
It is a spinnerbait of some kind. All right, that's not the correct brand. Spinnerbait of some kind does not work.
Of some kind doesn't work?
Nope. Randall, what's your guess?
I don't know. I think these are all war eagles and buzzbaits, so it doesn't even help me any.
Well, it's not
a war eagle. Is that your guess?
It's not a war eagle. I was gonna say it was
it's like a Picasso or something weird.
I was gonna say Strike King, but I know it's not a Strike King either. I'm trying to.
No.
I know which one it is.
Okay, so I hit with this.
That bend in it like that.
This gentleman was a big spinnerbait angler, a Bassmaster champion. Gosh, how many? He was
Rick
tied,
Clunn.
I think. Not Rick Clunn. He was tied, I think, for the second most at one point. Gosh, I forget that statistic. I read it a while back. Obviously not KVD. It's not the GOAT, but old school. I met him once at the Bassmaster Classic. He was a huge spinnerbait guy back in the day. And also this eye is key. So the eye and that spinnerbait round bend. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is key.
God bless it.
We've got guesses in the chat.
Are they guessing right?
Gander Mountain Special. They're guessing right. Yep.
But we're not looking
what do we
at
got
chat
for a guess,
here.
Shan? What do we got
Oh,
for
we're
a
not?
guess?
Come
Okay,
on,
I'm not looking
Shan.
at the chat.
Mike Dove in the house. Mike Dove nailed it. What's up?
God.
We got all kinds of the cat's out the bag. Cat's out the bag. It's all over the place. It is the Hank
Parker?
Parker
Yeah, okay.
spinnerbait. So this always like blew my mind. So Mann's back in the day was my favorite brand because it was a Hank Parker sponsored, or Hank Parker was sponsored by them. He was my favorite angler along with Mr. Dance back in the day. But the thing that made these interesting was the eye, painted on the eye, and this rounded bent spot in the spinnerbait. So unlike a lot of other spinnerbaits, you couldn't lose your line like up or down the shaft.
Mm-hmm.
It was twisted over so your knot stayed right there. So
I should have known that, man. I knew that was what was tipping me off, that it was that old. I should have remembered that. That's on me though.
Yeah, old Hank. Well, there's no prizes. Maybe I should give you guys a prize. What should I give the winner a prize?
Hey,
sorry, are they the only ones that do? They're not the only ones that twist the tie spot, are they?
There are more now that do it. However, the vast majority do not. It's just an R bend in it, so it looks literally just like an R. Yep, right there.
Yep, that's
exactly
what I normally see. Yeah, that's the normal one.
Now, one trick I've heard that you can do is if you have like kids that have braces, those little tiny rubber bands, you can take those and wrap them at that R and twist them and wrap it around like you're tying off a bag, and then put your line tie there so it can't run up and down. Yeah, like that. Is that a Guggen one?
Oh, that's a good
one.
Nope.
Of course it's a Guggen one.
It was
Randy,
one that
how's your sponsorship with them going? Randy's sponsored
oh
by
my
Guggen's,
God.
basically. Let's see if I have... Here's one. I know I've showed it on live a couple times. I stood up, take a drink. Oh, and I froze. This silly camera. Why? All right, I'll be right back.
I was going to say you're frozen.
You're good. Shan, so fishing before, are you mainly like lakes, ponds, things like that, or are you moving like rivers, streams?
Well,
what do you usually fish?
It's been interesting since I moved to Florida, man. The lake that's behind my house is called Rodman Reservoir, but it's really more like a river. It's an impounded. It's a river they dammed up. There's a barge canal on it as well that goes out to the St. Johns River, and so the water is always going by. You can see the current. Always. Yeah. So it's a very interesting place to fish that I've never, kind of had that experience. With the current and the shallow water and all the different types of vegetation. It's like an alien world I've been in the last couple months. But
do you have a bunch of the canals and things like that?
Mm-hmm. Well, that's a little south of here, but
okay.
I am in kind of in between Gainesville and the coast in the central part of Florida. So the closest lake to me is Rodman Reservoir. It's just like 1,000 feet behind the house here. But I'm still on 30 miles from Orange Lake, and that one's just been throwing off some nice fish.
Right.
And there's all kinds of lakes, maybe about an hour from the Harris chain of lakes near Orlando. So a lot of fishing, and the St. Johns River is right there, which brings me back to, in fact, what we were talking about before Debo froze up. We were talking about spinnerbaits. Have you guys ever fished that Rick Clunn Trickster spinnerbait?
The Lucky Strike?
No, it's I got it off of Tackle.
Trickster.
I think it's Tackle Warehouse. It's the Rick Clunn Trickster, and it's designed by him. I got a couple of them. I absolutely hammered fish on them, big fish on it too. That Rick Clunn Trickster is a dirty trick, man. For a slow,
Lucky Strike.
Nothing slow rolls better than a Rick Clunn Trickster, dude. It's like dragging half a hubcap behind there. It's just got that thump, boom, boom, boom. It's got thump like no other. And Rick Clunn knows about spinner.
Yep. Yeah. For me, so I grew up with Hank Parker. So for me, old school, yeah, absolutely him. And I didn't know he I don't know if you have it. Is this one you're talking about, this
Yep.
trickster?
That weird looking blade. It's not quite a Colorado and it's not quite a willow.
Whoa. I tried to zoom in. It did not like that. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, it's like a oblong Indiana almost.
That thing's got the crazy wobble.
Yeah, I've never fished that. I have fished the Trickster 2 vibrating jig. So if you want a way to make your like chatterbait weedless, it was one I tried. So you screw in, I don't know how well you can see it. You screw the nose of the Swimbait into there, and then you can rig it weedless like with, you know, an EWG. And the bill of it, it's like a scrounger head. It's soft plastic. So it was quite weedless. I don't feel like the hookup ratio was as good as something like the cross eyes chatterbait, like Z-Man, something like that. But it's interesting. It's a cool little deal, and it swings freely there too. So it's got a very like hunty, kicky back and forth action. That almost kind of looks like the grass pig that we were talking about earlier as well. That's Berkeley though, so that I don't think it would be. But
I was gonna say I've never even seen that before, but have either of you thrown? This is such a terrible lure. The Yoziri knuckle. What's it? The knuckle bait.
yes,
Yes.
That
The
thing is
orb.
horrible.
no, I have
Dude.
not.
I tried. I bet somebody I could catch a fish on that, and I lost.
I have. I've actually caught a single bass on there, but it was
Really?
at a it was at a private pond where it's not really, you shouldn't really count it. You know what I mean?
Well,
But yeah, that thing was. I got it in a mystery tackle box, and I was like, "What the hell am I supposed to do with this thing?" It's a. This is so dumb.
It's an orb.
Yeah, it's in a box somewhere in a pile of never used again lures, like that. Jeez.
Right next to my missing socks.
Spinnerbaits. I do love me some spinnerbait. Really aggressively average OG hype band member. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate all my members out there. Very nice of y'all. I love the support. I love that I can take a week off and we still have people watching. I was kind of worried. I was like, man, we might not. My headset's about to die. We might not even have like 100 people watching tonight. That's all right. I got my stuff plugged in, so we're okay. All right,
Debo,
next one.
Real fast before
we
move on. War Eagle.
Oh yeah,
was that the river rat? Yeah, the bright river rats. Those are good.
Just randomly came across one today.
I don't remember the color of the one I've got. They're a little bit bigger. Is that half ounce?
Yeah, it is half. Or no, this is 3/8.
Oh, okay. I was thinking they only made them in half ounce and 3/4. Nice. Okay, here we go. Let's see. What are we coming up with here next on the list? All right. Lure number 3. So this is one that I think Shan will probably get. I'm going to give Randall first crack. This will be, I think the color will probably give it away.
Oh.
I'm not sure though. So Randall, you get first crack. Here we go. Present. And we've got an interesting one from our childhood is the tip that I will give you. So you got to get the company and what kind of lure it is. And the company will kind of probably give it away, but any guesses?
I feel like I should know it just by the little appendage right there. I don't know.
If you don't get it, I'm disowning you as a fishing friend, and we don't get a fish at all if you can't get it.
You're disowning me as a fishing friend.
Yeah, if you get this wrong.
Okay, well I didn't guess. So does that mean I got it wrong?
No, I guess that's a way around it. Okay, we'll give it to Shan.
I feel like I've seen it, but
Shan, what's it gonna be?
Eesh, man, I don't know what that is.
Okay, so
I've worked at a few bait companies, and I don't know.
Okay. This is hard. This is a hard game. It's not easy.
Hard. That one's hard.
So the hint I will give you is, well, you'll probably know as soon as I do this. The hint I'll give you is you take it out of the package and fish it.
Oh.
You take it out and just go fishing with it.
Yeah, that's God, I don't know what the company is for that Carolina rig.
Where did you always buy them at?
Walmart.
A red bong.
The gas
No,
station.
It's not a bong. No, it's not from a gas station.
Yeah, it was my gas station.
What's
Oh,
it like?
yeah. I thought you were talking about the red bong. No.
No, that thing.
Yes.
What is that thing called, man?
I always bought them at Walmart when I was young. We've got it's all out. Everybody's getting it.
It's a
The
Carolina
correct-
rig, but I don't know what.
It's like cream something. Yeah.
It is. Yep.
Yeah.
The cream
The
scoundrel.
scoundrel worm. That's what it is.
Oh.
So for me, and this
Right
is
there.
the new one. I couldn't find like
Yeah.
one of the good old ones. This is one of the new ones that shows. I don't remember mine being weedless. Were they all weedless? So these you could buy them at Walmart. They were pre-rigged. They were like bent
Yeah.
over in the little package. You could always
Yeah.
get them. I don't remember mine being weedless though. I always like the
No.
purple. Go figure. They had a killer purple color. And then I like this natural earthworm color. And funny enough, I'll have to go see if I can find it. I've still got some of these that like I feel like this color should catch way more fish than it does. But it was they called it a wobblehead. And it's not like the wobbleheads we think of today. It was this piece, it was like this lip of metal, I don't know, maybe a 1/4 inch wide, and you stuck the lure on the hook, and there was like a little split ring. So when you cast it out and reeled it in, it made the lure do this. So whatever plastic you put on it. So it looked like a snake, and they were called wobbleheads. I'll have to see if I can find them. But
I remember that. Yeah.
yeah, kind of a cool thing, but it came with like super realistic looking worms. And I always felt like that one should catch more, but let's see.
And then somebody goes out there with methylate trick worm and just wears you completely out.
Yep. Let's see.
A lot of people were guessing from Kmart, because I was thinking Kmart back in the day, or Pomino,
Still have them
one of the
today.
two.
I bet they do. I bet they still sell them.
I bet they do. Yeah.
Kelly's. There was somebody guessed the man's jelly worm. That was definitely one of my favorites. The spade tail jelly worm. I've still got some of those from. And the cool thing, fun fact about the old jelly worms when they first came out, the scent corresponded with the color. So blue was blueberry, green was grape flavor, or not flavor, scent. I didn't eat them. I probably tried one. I'm sure when I was younger.
You probably
And
did.
red was
You were
like strawberry.
You were in the woods.
Yeah. Okay. What do we got next? So I'm trying to look through it. A lot of chatting back and forth, which I love. I encourage the Fish and friends to go back and forth. People saying they grew up with them. Northland. Oh, the Northland jig spinner. That wasn't one. There was also a Northland like weedless spoon. I never really fished spoons at all when I was younger, but I know that was another one that I always remember seeing. Gander Mountain worm. Gander Mountain, take a drink. Oh, there's the man's jellies worm.
Yeah, the man's worm. I was kind of thinking that at first, but I knew because the man's worm I've been fishing with for a long time. Like the 70s, honestly, man. My dad, he gave me the red pack of man's worms. They were red, like translucent.
See-through? Yeah.
Red worms by man. Oh, yeah. With that spade kind of paddle tail on them. I was just a little guy, man, maybe 7 or 8 years old.
There was some back and forth just a second ago here, Debo, and Texas Huntsman, I believe, was referring to that spinner bait. I don't even remember what it's called anymore. The knuckle bait. He brings up.
I don't know where I put them. I was gonna get them. I had all that crap out the other day. I don't know where they went, but yeah, they were one of my favorite. The auger tails too, the little auger tail worms. It was like
you don't have your wireless earbuds in, do you?
No, they went out.
I was just talking to you a second ago.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's no big deal. They were in the chat. They were going back and forth with the ball bait, knuckle bait, whatever it is, and then they brought up the double plopper.
Oh God,
the one
Kmart.
That had
I forgot about Kmart.
The 2 little ploppers that came off of the Y up at the top. Those things were horrible too.
Oh yeah,
I had one of those again. Thanks, Mystery Tackle Box. You give great items.
Okay, so this one you'll probably get. I'll give you just a little bit more of a hint on this one. Okay. So this next one, we're going to go hard bait. Austin Hall became a member. Austin, thank you, my friend. Augertail was the bomb. Hook life, I agree, dude. The little augertail crappie, I think they were like maybe, I want to say 2.5, maybe 3 inches at most on like a little crappie jig. Dude, anything would eat those. And it was just so fun to go sling that little thing around. Okay, next one. Here we go. So we're going hard, but whose turn is it to guess?
I think Shan, aren't you up? Holy
I don't.
jeepers.
It's not going to matter much if that's what I'm guessing at.
Oh, I think I know that one.
So the hint is look at the eye to bill transition.
Yep.
Think of a hard bait with that eye to bill
gotcha.
transition.
Yeah.
You know that one,
gotcha.
Randy?
Yeah.
All right, go ahead, man. I don't know that one.
It's a wigglewort.
It
Is
is.
Mm-hmm.
One of the few baits that you see where they actually will paint
Yeah.
the whole bill as it ties into the lure. So it's not like a lot of the lures you see now where it's a plastic PVC body with
I see now.
Yeah, the lip that gets inserted into it. Kind of like the lazy Ike back in the day, or what do people call it, the flatfish? I never knew it as that. And also, actually, Mike Dove was just on. I don't know if Chief is still on or not, but kind of what I talk about on the Thunderhawk, which I really, really liked, the A10 fishing around wood and stuff. You know, it's finding a crankbait that you can walk through that stuff. I think one like this that ties into it, where the bill is integrated into the actual body of the crankbait. So when you're going over stuff, it usually tends to do that and then come up and over. So that's a cool one. I like that idea. Like I said, when I first saw it, it reminded me of the Lazy Ike back then. But, you know, kind of that wiggle wart design as it's all integrated into one, you know, hard body. So if you haven't checked those out, give those a look. I like that one. And they make I don't know, Mike is still in here. Mike, what's the tequila one? Oh, and Paul's in here. What's up, Paul? He likes the A10 as well. What is it? Tequila Sunset or something? I think they called it something different, but that's my favorite color. It's like the orange and pink.
Yeah, that was the old wigglewort was old Pappy's favorite. I remember going out to his house back in the day, and he had going into his garage area above the wall, he just had packs of old school, still in the box wiggleworts hanging up on this little ledge.
Yeah.
Just, I don't even know, like 100 of them or so. Just still in the box wiggleworts, the old school ones. Uh-oh, look out. Stubby time.
Stubby dog, go lay down on your pillow. Don't get frisky with any other pillows over here.
Get out your pillows.
Did you guys ever fish with a brim buster?
A brim buster? No.
You know what a brim buster is?
I
wonder if anybody, I bet there's a few guys in the chat that know what brim busters are.
Brim buster.
Yeah, it's like a telescoping cane pole. Okay, and it goes out long. Yeah. But so
what are you, like a 10, 12 or
12?
further?
Yeah, like 12, probably like a 12-footer. But
like for crappie panfish?
Yes, but it telescoped like your car antenna, like the old school car antennas. It did like that, so you could take it and kind of flick it and shoot it, you know, and then you just tie you on a 12-foot piece of line, and the lure that we put on it was called a yellow Sally, and it was just a little yellow fly on a small brim hook. And I'm telling you, man, you could catch every fish in the pond with that yellow Sally.
So you wouldn't have a reel on there. It was literally just a rod, and somewhere up by the last couple of eyes, you would tie it on up there and kind of fly rod it out there however you wanted to, right?
Yeah, pretty much. So what you could do is think about this. There was no eyes on it except the end. There was just one place to tie. And you just tied the line on out there and made it about as long as the rod, which I think was 12 feet.
Yeah.
So you could just take that then and flip it, you know. Oops, sorry about that.
All right, we got some music.
Yeah, right. But yeah, the little flies that we would get with the brim buster were called yellow Sallies, man. And those yellow Sallies were death to everything that swam. They were trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was more of like a grub on a jig head guy, like just with a spinning reel. That was my big thing as a kid. Okay, let's see. Let's get our next one. I couldn't believe it's 8:19. Holy crap. Because we've got, so some of these are lure related, and I know Shan, may or may not have the lure knowledge, but I wanted to make sure I had the knowledge that I know Shan will do. So we've got some fish stuff too.
Where are we at here? I know I have 2?
I don't know. You guys have to keep track.
You're winning. I haven't gotten any right.
You have to let me
2.
know what you want as a prize. Whoever wins, you have to fight it out. You
I
can
figured
both have
out
a
the
prize
I
money.
figured out the popar, but wasn't my turn. So
Yep. I got 2. So if I win, I'll give the prize to somebody in chat.
No, if that's the case, we'll auction it off and yeah. Why not? Okay, here we go. What is this one? Now, this one I threw the color in too because this is probably my favorite color ever. In this, it's actually kind of a tie-up, but I feel like this is a secret color, and I know I have some fishing friends in here that think the same. What lure is this? And this color might give it away.
I thought that was Basquiat.
What? I don't know what that is.
Basquiat, the artist. I was making a joke.
No, I'm not big into art, so.
Oh, okay.
We don't put any of that baloney around here.
I was making a joke about abstract art.
Oh, yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I don't know what that is either, bro.
Randall?
I'm going back to this. I want to say it's a frog of sorts, but I don't know for certain.
A frog?
Yeah, it's a spro frog of some color.
It's not a spro frog. So the clue, I will do this. The clue is the spot.
Is it a pad crasher?
It is a pad crasher. What's the color?
Oh, I can see it.
Yeah.
So that is the old smoky color. If y'all haven't thrown this, I remember when I first picked up this color, Walmart used to have them, I think, for, I want to say $4. The midnight all black with like blue highlights is probably my favorite if I could choose one. This is a sleeper color. It's kind of translucent. So like if you hold it up, you can pretty much see through this gray part, but it's got all this black pepper flake in it that just like breaks up the profile of it. I don't know. It's been a good secret color for me around here in the Midwest. I think it's good if you have a little bit cleaner water because the fish aren't really getting a good look at anything. It's just this weird like broken up color. So Old Smoky, if you've not tried throwing the Old Smoky color in the Booyah Pad Crasher, give it a go.
Pad Crasher, good frog.
It is a good frog. A very good.
I'm on the board. Frog. I'm on the board and making a comeback.
Shan, would you have got it had I not said it was a frog of sorts?
When he pulled it back and I saw got a little better context of that head.
Yeah.
Crasher.
God, I didn't know which frog it was.
Yeah, I just bought 5 pad crashers the other day. They were on sale. So, I like that frog. That's a good frog.
So I don't know what happened to my game here, or there we go.
Are we interrupting? Oh no, I was gonna say for a second there. Looked like Stubby was having some time with his something back.
No, he loves the pillow. Is Tom in here? I don't know if I haven't seen him. He absolutely loves the pillow. Actually, my mom and dad brought their dog. They have a Brittany, and she loved it as well. So, bed well spent. We love it. Appreciate the hell out of fishing friends that send stuff like this. Okay, next one. Then we'll start rolling some giveaways here in a second. I can't believe we're already an hour. Next lure. Hint. It's the goat. That's all I can say. It's the goat.
It's a ribbon tail tequila sunrise.
What brand?
I think this is set up against me, man.
Is it?
No.
Calling collusion.
God. Is it?
We used to buy these. Dad and I used to buy these at the swap meet. Actually, Dad would. I would just. Not Yum. No, it's the company. Not Culprit. I was going to say Culprit makes the second best in this color, in my opinion.
It looks like a culprit.
It's a Berkeley Power Worm. My favorite from previous years of experience. My dad whooping my butt with it. The Berkeley Power Worm.
Yeah, that was a nice little zoom in right there. Had you gone anywhere else, it would have been way more obvious as to what it was.
Yeah. I like the electron microscope view of the worm.
Okay. So the fun part of this one, Shan, I feel like Shan's feelings were a little hurt. He missed a couple of them. Listen, Shan, I didn't have you on here to get your feelings hurt. So we're gonna let Shan go. I'm sorry, reverse. We're gonna let Dizzle go first on all these now.
Oh,
Dizzle, here's yours.
I'm gonna defer to the second half.
This is fish number 1. What fish is this?
I mean, what do you mean? What fish is this? Is it?
I mean, tell me. Is that a white crappie? Is that a walleye?
largemouth bass, I want to say that is that a Florida strain largemouth?
I don't know. You tell me. You got to give us a
That's
guess.
what I'm. That's what I'm saying. Florida
A
strain. Oh, shucks. I'm going with that, but I think it's wrong.
Shan, what is it?
That's a spot, isn't it?
It's a spot. A
Is
spotted
it?
bass. As shown by the spots above the lateral line there, that midline, all kinds of spotties on it. And there are certain guads and like I don't know all the difference.
You could call
Like,
it an Alabama bass. Some people
Ah,
call it that. Spotted bass. So they're a nasty little critter. Really, I don't like them. They tend to dominate. They tend
no,
to.
sir, I don't like it.
They tend to
No,
run
no.
it. They run you out of the gym. One easy way to identify the spot is rub his tongue. He'll have a little toothy patch
Little patch.
in the middle of his tongue.
Interesting.
So that's an easy tip to identify a spotted bass.
I think I've
Yeah, I
only
know we've
caught
got-
one in
Yeah,
McBride.
I would say we've got Lake McBride. Is that the farthest north they go here?
Yeah. As far as
Yes.
I know, that's the farthest north.
Yeah,
that
so
they
we have a
go.
lake. There might be some more. I could be wrong on that, but we have some here in a lake that's like 30 minutes from me. And
South
I
of
understand,
you, right?
yeah, yep, south of me. And I understand they are like more of a cold water bass. So
They're-
like more active in colder water, which I have, yet to like actually target them, but I would love to go out and target Mike Dove. Damn, thank you, brother. Thanks for the Thunderhawk shout out. Absolutely, my friend. I would love to target them in the times where, if like the largemouth bite, is not quite on, it's starting to cool down. I hear they start to kind of kick up almost like crappie and wiper do around here, when that temp goes down. So I don't know. I'm not a big spot guy, but I think it'd be fun to go out like to a lake, like a specific lake, like a lake well known for spots and chase them.
I had that when I lived back in Georgia. There's one of our local lakes is called Lanier, and
Oh yeah.
as it so happens, the spotted bass were introduced in there years ago. And what I actually knew the biologist that worked at the lake for years, Reggie Weaver. He's passed now, but Reggie did a study on the spotted bass in Lanier, and he determined that 80% of the spots born in Lake Lanier die before they get to a year old. There's a really high mortality rate.
Really?
Spotted bass, yes. But Lanier is a world-class spotted bass fishery. So that should tell you the rate at which they spawn. Because if all that spawn survived, you would get what you normally get, which is a lake full of
Overpopulation.
Spotted bass, correct? Yeah.
Yep.
But because of what Reggie, they never had a follow-up study as to what caused that natural mortality on the spotted bass fry. But I know that there is a massive amount of spotted bass, fry mortality in year one, and I also know there are 5-pound spots in Lake Lanier. So I don't think those two are accidentally go together because the exact same correlation exists in ponds with largemouth bass.
Interesting. Yeah, I wonder if it's just Mother Nature kind of running its, it's kind of that ecosystem kind of has its own flow, and it's just like, listen, it can't handle you,
There was a what called gill maggot problem with the striper in Lanier, and it wiped out the stripers.
Really?
Yeah, the stripers are coming back around in Lanier now. We usually go about once a year or twice a year out with a guide. Shout out to Jeff. He's a guide out there. He's a good dude. But yeah, striper are fun to catch on Lanier, and it's an interesting kind of ecosystem. Big, deep, clear water, 40-foot thermocline.
Jeez.
Yeah, hundreds of feet deep at the dam. About 29,000 acres. Pretty big water.
I would have no idea what the hell I'm doing in 40 feet of water. Okay, let's see. Randall, you ready for the next one?
In worms.
It's called jigging. It's called jigging mostly.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah,
Dizzle will fit right in, man. You get his jigs, you go right to the bottom.
Yeah, man. I don't know. That's extreme. Anyway.
Okay, Randall. See, I'm not even changing the size of it. Randall, first hack at this. Oh, and Kuda's in the house. Kuda, how are you, brother? Thanks for joining.
That's like a creek chub or something.
What fish is this? Oh, I didn't notice that either. I didn't know that was a thing. Is that a thing on all of them?
Oh yeah. Well, not all of them, but on that one.
Oh, I didn't notice that. That's one thing
And
I
his
didn't
cousin.
know.
There's that on that one, and his little cousin. He has a cousin
Yep,
that's
I know
about
what you're
half
saying.
the size, and that's where he gets his name from. That long dorsal.
Yeah, so
To pintail or something?
No, close. Keep guessing. It's a thread, so they call it a
Needle thread?
close.
I
Thread
don't know.
fin shad.
Thread fin.
That's a gizzard shad.
that's a gizzard. Yep.
Yeah,
Jeez.
and threadfin look exactly like that, except they're like, all right. So if you take your finger, the tip of your finger, like your nail, and tried to open that fish's mouth with the tip of your finger, right, like that mouse, and you'd have to come around that fish's nose and hook up underneath. He just has a rounded nose. That fish has a subterminal mouth. It's kind of a tip down mouth.
So it's like a carp almost.
Almost like a carp, right? Well, a threadfin shad has a mouth that kind of opens upward like this, almost. So when your finger comes down, you open its mouth way before it's like pointing back through the fish like this. Its mouth is already open on a threadfin. But other than that, they're really hard to tell apart, especially when they're the same size. Thread fins are smaller. They don't get as big as gizzards. That gizzard shad will be 20, 22 inches long.
I feel like the thread fins around here that I've seen too almost have like a yellowy more to them.
Yellowtail. Some people call them yellowtails, and that's a good way to identify a thread fin because they will have a yellowtail sometimes, most of the time.
I wanted to show this. I always try to point this out because I've had people tell me that I'm an idiot for thinking like purple is so good. So I posted a picture of a bluegill that I caught the other day. Tons of purple on it. I posted a picture of a crappie I caught the other day. Tons of purple on it. And this one, you can barely see it here, but it's got this like purplish black.
Lavender in the shad, sure.
I wanted to show this real quick. It's in my lure reference. I was trying to find it here. But this was one actually I snagged with Randy when we were fishing. And the amount of color on this thing, I know people think it was a trash fish. I can't find it, but
it was on that jetty, right?
Yes, maybe.
So the problem you
the one right by the highway.
I can't find it. Well, poop. Anyway, yeah, they have the one I caught had a ton of purple. Go check out my Instagram. Look back if you want to see one, but a ton of purple and blue. Like the amount of light blue and pink that were on the belly of it is crazy. So I would say don't fear getting out of your comfort zone of just black and blue. Green pumpkin. Try something a little different because around here, black and purple works. Maybe it's just this. Maybe it's me being superstitious. It's a confidence thing, but fish have it. Fish have purple, so don't tell me that they don't.
No, they do, absolutely. And actually, I was having a conversation about that with Andrew over at Tackle Talk a couple weeks ago. He was showing me some shad that had a real bluish hue that he felt like had kind of turned blue in the wintertime. With maybe the water clarity, coming on in the wintertime. And maybe shifted the shad towards that blue color is kind of the conclusion we had come to.
Interesting. Yeah, could. I have no idea. I don't see a ton of them. Like when I, obviously like snag one or something. So I don't know all the different time colors, but the ones that I've caught around here have had noticeable a lot of purple and like light blue on the belly. Okay, last one here for the fish. Randall, are you ready? Randizzle. Can you redeem the Dizzly hierarchy?
I'm trying.
Go back on top. Okay, here we go.
I'm trying.
Last one for you. Whoops, not slides. Sorry. I'm not used to having to go to this different thing to share a window. Okay, Randall. What fish is that?
Is that?
And it's not an arowana. I know you're going to guess that.
I was just going to say, I was trying to think of what that one was called where they do the move or whatever it is.
I think peacock bass too. Yeah, dude, I want to catch a fish doing that so bad.
God, I don't know what kind of catfish it is. It's not a blue.
Nope. No.
Is it a flathead?
Close, but no.
That was my guess.
Okay, Shan, tell us.
It's if you want to just call it like a common name, I would call that a bullhead. But if you
Is
wanted
that a bullhead?
be a little more technical, yeah, look at those chin barbels. See how those are yellow?
Oh,
So we would call
I
that
usually-
one yellow bullhead.
yeah, I can. There's a lot of bullhead up at in the like Spirit Lake up by Okoboji in Iowa,
Yeah.
and I know there's
Yep,
tons of
pretty
them up
much.
there, and they have like a very, very distinct yellow belly to them.
Yeah. You'll see those chin barbels will be brown on the brown bullheads and technically black on the black ones, but it's hard to tell the difference between a black and a brown bullhead.
I like all the guesses out here.
Oh, really? I haven't been paying
Man.
attention. I haven't been paying attention.
It's funny. Okay, so that was the trivia for tonight. I hope you guys thought that was fun. That was like a last minute ad. I had a whole bunch of ideas earlier. Like I said, my family was here, time ran out, and I was like, oh crap, I got to get these babies going. But I want to try to do different things that are interactive like that are just kind of fun that we can roll through. So I don't know. Let me know, you guys and gals out there watching, if that's kind of fun. If we want to try to do some more like, I think The Price is Right type game, over under type stuff.
That's
Any
definitely
lures.
fun.
Yeah, any type of lure stuff where we can go back on history or just talk about things that we like and don't like. I don't know. I always have fun doing that. So let's see. Now we're going to open it up for questions. I'm going to do some rolling giveaways here for maybe. Are you fellas good for another maybe half hour here? We start doing some giveaways and hang out.
Doesn't matter.
Okay, we got Shan. And Shan, I apologize. I assume everybody knows you. So Shan, the aquatic biologist. I think that's still your name, right? You haven't changed it, have you? People need to quit changing their damn names.
No, they haven't come after me yet, so I'm going with that.
Okay. So Shan, we've had him on before. He is what is it? The technical term fisheries biologist. Is that what it is?
That's a very good term that you could use to describe what I do.
Perfect. So yeah, tell us kind of about, have you worked on any? So Shan doesn't work for, so like, around here we have the DNR, you might have like parks and whatever, depending on where you're at. For us here in Iowa, it's DNR, Department of Natural Resources, the guys in the green suits that you see coming after you. But they do like the public water stuff, right? So that, they're taking care of the public stuff. So Shan works on the private side. So have you worked any more like with anybody recently? Like doing any pond stuff or lake stuff, anything fun you could tell us about? So if you guys have questions for him, for a fisheries biologist, let him know. Or if you have gear stuff, right now is the time. Somebody asked Daiwa or arc rods. I will say that is a tough one as far as budget. Real quick, sorry, Shan, to jump in. The arc catalyzer and the Daiwa Iridex are probably my two favorite budget rods right now. Overall, if I had to pick just one, I would say Daiwa. But the catalyzer surprised me a lot. Okay, so anyway, tell us, what have you been working on? Any cool projects, lake, pond stuff recently?
Yes, several. You don't get too many new ponds anymore. At least I don't. A lot of regulations, a lot of red tape.
Like to build a new pond, you mean?
Oh, yeah.
Really? Oh, I didn't realize that. On your own property? Like if I have my own 200 acres, there's still a lot of red tape for me to put in a pond?
Yeah, because the government's going to come back at you and say you don't own the water. So if you want to impound the water, you need permits and you
really?
need.
I had no idea that would be like that hard to do. I figure you just dig a hole and let rain fill it up.
No, man, it's not. And so
the ground's got to be good and stuff too, huh?
Exactly, man. There's a lot of engineering that goes in with that too. Because like normally people would be like, well, I want to build it, and there'd be like a stream down there. Well, now you're disturbing stream wetland. See, there's a lot of, and now you've disrupted that. And so in some places you have to mitigate that, which is basically give the county money for every acre wetland you destroy a stream wetland. You have to pay like $10,000 to build stuff like that.
No idea.
Yeah, so it gets real pricey when you get into like mitigation stuff like that, and like some usually you only get into building ponds like the pond that I'm working on now, the Sugar Hill one that we've been following for a year now, on my page. He built that. He got the permitting for that because
is that with your pet duck?
Yeah, with our buddies Elvis and Priscilla.
Hey, Just real quick, Devo, if you want to mark Brown Bait Co. at 8:38, got a question for Shan about gold algae.
Okay.
Sorry, go ahead, Shan.
Gold algae. Ooh, that sounds a hard question.
So you got a duck friend, right?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, they built that pond as an irrigation pond because they have literally fields of plants that they grow. The guy has a landscape architecture business, where they put in people's backyards, whatever you want in your backyard, from a pool
So
to
like lilies and crazy stuff, like features and whatever.
Yeah, they've got all kinds of like trees and things that they use consistently that they're growing up there. I don't know exactly what he's growing, but I've got to keep the pump system clear. I got to keep weeds out of that. We got to make sure that the pond stays good that way as well. You know what I mean? And we have grass carp in there to control a lot of the weeds
Sure.
so we don't have to do any kind of treatments, because any treatments I put on that water would then in turn end up on his plants.
So they're essentially two different bodies of water per se. There's the pond and then there's his stuff. So you wouldn't have any issue, but say like the grass carp somehow migrated from the pond down to his body of water, that could be an issue for his plants though, right?
Well, he's using water from the pond to irrigate his plants for commercial farm, right?
Gotcha.
You see what I'm saying? So there's just the one pond. Well, there's two ponds there now, but yeah, where I have to. I guess what I'm saying is I have to be aware of what I put in the water, because it'll affect his irrigation and what he's pumping on plants that he's growing. For a business. So that's how he got the permitting to build that pond on that property without like a business purpose. He would have never even got the permit to build the pond on his own property.
So real quick, I do want to thank Nate04 for the $5 bomb. You should try the Bama Bug Jackhammer. That's actually one of my favorites, and that's a Tackle Warehouse exclusive, I believe. With the 4.4-inch Kitech Crazy Flapper and PB&J. Interesting. That's a lure I think Kitech brought back. I think they cut it for a while. I saw a lot of places had it on clearance and then brought it back, I think, in new colors. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but it caught me 4-pounders last year, more 4-pounders than any other color. Interesting. That's a cool one to try. It's got a whole bunch of appendages on it. All right. Thank you, Nate. I like that. So hashtag Shan real quick. Anybody that's watching, and this is going to be, I'm just going to keep rolling this. So I'm just going to keep picking winners. So everybody, whatever the random giveaways are going to be, everybody just has to do hashtag Shan once. That's it. You don't need to put it multiple times. It doesn't enter you. It takes out all the duplicates. So here in a little bit, we've got almost 300 people watching. I'll start rolling this for the next maybe half hour. We'll do probably 5 giveaways here of random stuff. Like I said, I've got tons of tackle. I need to get rid of some, so should be fun. Okay, Shan, we're going to start bombarding you with questions. I've been picking stuff here.
All right.
And I'm going to start rolling. So the first one, Vance, where can I get the limited Booyah crankbaits? If you go watch that video that I unboxed, they're available over on LureNet. And LureNet did do a 15% off code for me for those. So use that. You can get 15% off their cool custom colored, and actually reminds me I need to give somebody a call because I'll have a special guest that will be really fun for that. That's all I'm going to say. So Brown Bait Co. Okay, Shan, where did the gold algae come from that killed most of the lakes in the Salt River system? I don't even know what gold algae is. So Shan, that's all you.
Yeah, I'm not really familiar with what he's talking about either, but they've probably had some kind of toxic algae outbloom, like a blue-green algae, or in this case, what they're called, nicknamed a gold algae. Planktonic.
What makes it deadly? Like, we've got that around here, this blue-green. Why is it so, like, because they say it's even like hazardous to humans and stuff. So not only,
it can be. They've got it everywhere. So where you start getting into problems with planktonic algae is, it's like the term planktonic algae. If we were to go and like look at all the different species of algae, there's hundreds of them. You know, I don't even know, 200. I'm not even sure, honestly. I can't remember that kind of trivia anymore. I'm too old. But there's so much algae, like so many different kinds of algae, and that is a complex food web in and of itself that you can get a PhD in by itself. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a plenty of research in there nobody's ever done. So how that kind of soup of organisms, you know, mixes around is still not known in many ways, I'm sure. But what ends up happening when you get weird algae blooms is usually heat and nutrients coming from an outside source.
So yeah, it's not a naturally occurring thing.
Well,
It's somebody introduced something into a natural source, right?
usually not. Like if it's what I'm thinking is if it's like a planktonic bloom of some kind, like the red tide in Florida.
Okay.
You know, red tide is naturally occurring. You know, it is naturally occurring, but it can also be assisted by, like, I don't know. I can remember this one time I had a really bad blue-green algae problem on a pond. And I was telling somebody, like I was telling the homeowners association, it was like 12 homes that live.
Hey, Debo, do you want to be sharing right now?
Am I not sharing?
No, you are. Sorry, Shan.
Yeah.
I apologize.
Yes. Yeah, I'm
Nigel
just going to start randomly picking people. So
Okay.
Nigel won
Sorry.
something.
Nigel won. Nigel, are you here? The only thing is you have to be present.
And not
to
from
win.
Canada, or Debo will do something else for you.
Yeah, not in Canada. I'm not going to pay $70 to ship you the stuff. So
I'll
if you
watch
are
for
real
Nigel.
quick,
Sorry, guys. I didn't mean to jump in.
that's all right. I was just going to start rolling them. Okay, well we can go to the next question, Shan.
So,
let's do this while we're
real
waiting
quick,
for
Debo.
Nigel.
Well,
Nigel,
I
you
would
got to let us
summarize
know.
the blue-green algae in summary. You generally is kind of a combination of things that happen, or any kind of planktonic algae that creates any kind of poisons or problems. It's usually like a cycle, you know, and it'll cycle in and it'll cycle back out, I guess is the short answer.
You better not be
So-
from England. I'm not. I can't send to England. So Nigel, if you are, Nigel, are you here? I haven't even seen him.
He's here.
Is he?
Nigel,
Where's-
846, just brand new.
Oh,
So as far as, you know, the introduction, is it a concern with like
Nigel,
different-
email me at that email address with
So
a
like an
copy
aquatic-
of your YouTube name,
Sorry.
so I know it's you.
So like an aquatic hitchhiker, you know how they always say at all the boat launches, make sure and check your boat, don't take anything with you.
Mm-hmm.
So is that also an issue with, like, sounds crazy, but like airborne stuff? Is it where
Mhm.
any particles or even like birds, say you have some sort of like crazy farm pond that's doing some wacky stuff in there, some herring lands, grabs a fish, flies off to somebody else's pond. Is that an issue where that could grow with something that little, or does it need more than just like an isolated incident?
Yeah. Well, all right. So let's think about what I'm going to try to summarize what you just said in a different way. Okay.
Sure.
And pose that question back to you. Let's say you have a property and you get the permit and you buy and you build the pond, right? And we build that pond, right? And it fills up. Now, the base of the food chain that we've talked about plenty of times is that plankton. The more plankton that you have, the more fish that you have, right? But have you ever heard anybody talk about stocking microscopic plankton?
No.
No, because it
Never.
occurs naturally. We don't even know how it gets there. It just
That's crazy. Okay.
Right?
That hurts.
So
my head
how
now.
does the
Thanks.
base of the food
Thanks,
chain
Shan.
even get in the pond? I don't know.
Right. So, I mean, I could see, so a lot of the things that I've seen, different people, like everybody on YouTube's always like, we're building a pond, we're doing this and we're doing that, we're building a lake, whatever, on their property. And the biggest thing that I've seen is people having issues if there's no natural source of water from anywhere. So if you don't have a spring, it's not fed from not even like the neighbor's property or something like that. So, I mean, I could see natural stuff occurring if it's like spring fed, but I don't know how you would even create a pond, retain the water, keep the water level to a level that you could actually use if it's not naturally fed. Sorry, I'm just kind of talking out loud here, and
No, you're a smart dude, man. You're all over it. What
I
you
wouldn't
have to
go
do-
that far.
You have to get an engineer, and what they do, man, think about it like this. Say you had like a big sponge in your sink, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you just turn the water on and let it drip.
That's a good one.
All right. So that water will eventually saturate that sponge and run out into the bottom of the sink, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly how soil works. As rainwater hits the soil, it saturates. At a certain point in time, a certain amount of water will move through the soil and get pulled down by gravity. That'll become groundwater. Okay, so that's one way water moves through the ground. It's not a spring. That's called groundwater flow, and it happens everywhere. Okay, and it goes downhill through the ground, right? And it picks up minerals and anything that's in the ground. Say, in Georgia, we have no limestone in the ground, so it does not pick up calcium when it goes through the ground. When it goes through the ground in a different part of the country, it picks up calcium because there's calcium in that soil, right? It ends up in the creeks, ends up into the ponds. So that groundwater flow is a very interesting thing, and that comes from a science called hydrology, and that's how the water moves through the ground. Yeah, it's cool. It's crazy complex though.
Usama Khan nailed it right there. So Usama's also a fish tank lover. In the time that I've taken off, I've gotten big into fish tanks, setting up the tanks that I had. So we were talking back and forth. Yeah, and it reminds me like everything that you're talking about, Shan, like when you test the hardness of the water that you have, like that's exactly what you're testing: calcium, magnesium, whatever those minerals are,
yes,
in the water to see how hard it is. So it's kind of cool that relates to aquarium fish keeping as well, depending on, is it city water? Is it a well water? Where you can see more of that. Excuse me. All right, so enough of the nerdy water talk. Jesus, I don't even know what the hell you guys are talking about half that stuff. Let's get into some of these. Let's roll some more of these questions. So I'm going to pick a winner here while Shan's answering this one. But Shan, what is your favorite winter lure?
Wow.
Or a couple, if you can't pick one, tell us a couple. Because winter, for you, like you said, it was like what, 70 down there. So winter for you is drastically.
Yeah, well,
yeah,
winter for me is way different now. The past few months, than I'm in Central Florida now, but we had some cold weather up in North Georgia for sure.
Yeah, what did it get to like in Georgia for winter for you? What was it?
Oh, back home right now, it's probably like 40 degrees and.
Oh, okay, so pretty chilly. I didn't think.
Oh, sure, yeah, it can be cold.
Okay.
And you don't have to go very far either to go up into the mountains and lose 10 degrees right there just because of elevation.
How was that view? There we go.
I don't know what you're doing over there, man.
Sorry.
That's why I don't do any of this, man. People say, you should do a podcast. I'm like, I don't know how to do any of this crap.
I'm new. I think after all the times of doing this, I'd have it down. Okay.
So favorite winter lure. Like now, I have been throwing a lot of, my experience in Florida has been unique, and I have been throwing a Texas rig plastic worm.
I love it.
Yeah.
Were you a worm fisherman before that much, or no?
Since the 70s.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I have drug a plastic worm. Like, it's confidence bait for me. It's how I kind of learned the training wheels that I kind of feel like that's exactly what a Texas rig is. It kind of is training wheels. It's most people's entry into bass fishing, at least it was mine. And most of the people around Georgia, plastic worms just rule. And I certainly have drugged my fair share of them, probably to my own demise. I should probably mix it up more. But honestly, like what's been going on in Florida, man, it's been producing bites. And these Florida bass are tough. They're tricky. They're just finicky fish. They're different than northerns in that way.
Interesting. Do you feel like it's like, are they more pressured there because of like people chasing size, or what? Like, what do you think?
No, I think it's nature. And that's a good question, man. Because all right, so check this out. In my work in stocking Florida bass in people's ponds, right? I've noticed that they're really temperature sensitive.
Really?
Yeah. And I thought that was strange, right? Because like Florida fish, they're from a warm climate. You hear about people putting them like out in, California and different places, in Texas, they do really well in different places. But where I stocked them, they never really did that great, it was different. But now that I live in Florida and see what's going on in Central Florida, because that's about where the range of Florida starts, where you really true, pure Florida bass. all these lakes are fed by springs, and I don't mean a little spring, and I'm not talking about groundwater flow like I was just describing to Randy. I'm talking about freaking springs. Like it pours out of the water 50 million gallons a day, pure, cool, clear, 70-degree water all the time, 24/7 spring. And if you think about that, when you've got springs like that pouring into your lakes, that stabilizes water temperature. That's 70 degrees. If it's 40 degrees outside, that's 70 degrees if it's 90 degrees outside. You see what I'm saying?
Because like those streams that stay constant, that don't freeze, like some of those that we have here, like even when everything's frozen, we have some of those trout streams that are like 50 something all year long or whatever, you know?
Exactly.
No, Debo, that lake you're talking about is fed by Quaker Oats, and it's maybe nuclear. Who knows?
We used to, man, dude. The fishing was so much better there. Now they're putting in like some stupid walking trail thing and kayak bull crap. I don't even know what's going to happen to it, but whatever.
Hey, real quick, if you're in the mood to mark, 851 Chicken Sandwich had a question for probably you, not me necessarily, about a Booyah Toad Runner.
Okay, I'll look. So, Shan, that kind of ties into what Matthew was talking about here. What are your thoughts on this study that kind of showed a band along the East Coast that allows northern strain fish to grow larger than other states in that area? Why would that be? Have you heard about that?
I'm not sure what he's talking about there. And that's where I kind of it gets back into me. Like, if you will kind of put it back into my court, your growth rates come from the balance of the fishery, not from the genetics of the fish.
So do you think that genetics of the fish never?
No,
has an
I
impact?
think it's a secondary deal.
Partial. Okay.
It's a secondary, because you have to have step one before you can even worry about step two, right? Like if we're going up the staircase, right?
If step two doesn't
take step one
get
first.
there,
Yes.
it can't even do it.
Right.
Okay.
So if we take it back to just a pond, it's just stock a 1 acre pond. Okay. If I stock a 1 acre pond with 40 bass per acre, I'll get 2 pounds of growth in a year per fish. If I do it my way and maximize productivity and do everything that I can do,
That's hefty.
I'll get it. I just did it. I just got 2.1 and 14 inches in 12 months in Sugar Hill Outdoors.
But again, like you're saying, that's crazy. You know, the fact of, do they have enough food to actually get there? And like we've talked about around here, you know, people that watch me, you know, DNR, and I'm not talking bad about DNR, but a lot of the public places will stock for, or will manage for numbers, not necessarily size, like Shan's talking about.
Correct. So this exactly ties in exactly what we're talking about, because if I go back a year ago, and instead of stocking 40 bass per acre, I stock 80 bass per acre, I'll have a nice population of bass at 80 bass per acre, but they'll all be 1 pound right now instead of 2. Do you understand? Doesn't that make sense? I stock twice as many, so they're half the size, right?
If all your food stays the same, there's only so much they can eat to,
Yep. There's a cap.
Yeah, it's like that one lake, Debo, that we go to, that was forever. We went there when we first started going there. It had been 5 years since they drained it, refilled it, got rid of, what was it, yellow bass at the time?
Yep.
And refilled it. And the population for forever was, you know, those dinks, really 12 inches and less. And then recently, last couple of times that we went there, we've found a couple of bigger ones.
Super slow
overall.
But the thing is, it's funny that you say that, because when we first were catching them, they were like pounders, and now probably 1.5 pounds. But that's like 3 years. You can still catch crazy numbers, but your average went from 1 pound to 1.5 pounds in like 3 years, maybe 4 years.
Well,
you know,
we're
so what's
talking
that tell you
like
about growth rate,
8 to 9 years total from when they redid the entire thing. Because wasn't it?
And still catching, mainly 1.5 pounds or 8 years after.
And you
stocking,
should be growing fish a lot quicker than what that rate is, I would assume.
But that's that's a sketchy slope, because, you know, Shan will say, you know, you need to take the bass out. And I completely agree. You know, like he's saying, there's only so much food that all those fish can eat. But then you see people like one of my local fisheries, there was, I don't know, probably 30, 40 bass that people had just thrown on the shore. And you get in a very dangerous, I don't even know what the word would be. You get in a very dangerous spot where people try to manage it on their own. Like a lot of the lakes around here is people stocking shad, people stocking yellow bass. to make it this good ice fishing place because, oh, they know the bass need these to live, right? Well, they have no idea what that's going to do for the balance. You know, somebody like Shan that knows, you know, exactly what's in there, what can eat it, what should those numbers be, you know, what should the, ooh, yikes, broken glass. Yeah, it's a
Empty
sketchy
cup.
slope. But anyway, okay.
No, you're nailing it there, man. And what needs to be said about that is anytime, whatever, I don't care what you're stocking, you don't know what you're doing and you don't need to stock it.
Yep.
Just don't. Just know. And anybody who's around you says it needs this and that. No, I'm sorry. Do you have a science degree and have you ever stocked a lake? No,
right.
Don't stock it.
Yep.
You know, and that just would save me so many headaches.
I'm sure.
Just don't.
Let's roll another one here. Am I sharing? Whoops, I didn't want to bring that up. There we go. Okay. So Scarl, is that Steve? Steve Carl? Scarl, how does the MGL 70 compare to the Corrado BFS? Man, I'm not a fan of BFS stuff. Like, I love the MGL 70. I would recommend that to anybody. And if you even wanted to save a little money, I think the SLX MGL is a sleeper reel. I've used the Corrado BFS. I really don't get the hype. But I do like the MGL 70s. A little bit less line capacity, you know, of course, but great for like a jerk bait or, you know, something where you want a little bit smaller in your hand grip. If you can see me down here, a little bit in your hand grip, a little bit smaller. But I love it. I love that reel a lot. Matthew. Okay. Here's a good one. The best bait for the best bait fish for bass in ponds under 5 acres. And I think this would probably be, I think Shan will probably generalize it. In most lakes and ponds, what do you think the best bass bait or forage is, like pound for pound? I know you've talked about it before, and kind of why.
Sure, man. It's bluegill.
And why?
Bluegill are exceptional forage for ponds all over North America because quite a number of reasons, but they spawn like when the temperatures get above the mid 60s or so, right around 70 degrees, bluegill start spawning, and they'll actually have monthly spawns until that water temperature drops below that. So a lot of guys, because they don't see the bluegill spawning right at the edge, don't believe me, I guess, about that. But we use a net called a seine to capture that reproduction to see how many times a season you'll get a bluegill spawn. And like a little bitty 3-inch bluegill, like this size, you know, like literally 2 fingers high and this big, that size fish can lay 10,000 eggs per month. So,
really? That's their drop? Holy cow.
Yeah.
What percentage, do you know off the top of your head, what percentage of those survive? Like to get like a year, maybe? Do you know?
Oh, well, again, that's going to go back to the balance of the pond. So what I'll do with that net, Debo, is I'll catch the bluegill from literally tiny little sizes all the way up to maybe like 5-6 inches, right? And after you pull that net, say like 10 times, you'll notice you'll be like, hey man, there's all these little bitty bluegill, and we've got bluegill up to like maybe 3.5 inches, but there's no 4, 5, 6-inch bluegill. But then after 6, they kind of start showing up again. Well, that's called a seine haul analysis. And what we're reading into is there's too many bass in the pond, because when you don't see any bluegill, when you see a bunch of bluegill that are born and a bunch of bluegill up to 3 inches, and then they disappear, the bass are eating them as they progress throughout their life cycle. And they get to that 3-inch size class, they've moved offshore, and the bass eat them, and you can't catch them. So that's kind of one way just to try to put an idea in your mind of how you read and how we use how we use that bluegill reproduction to see what's going on in the pond.
Do you think there's a size? And this is real quick. So TJ's in here. Jim, how are you, brother?
When did you run that, Mike? I haven't seen Mike.
That's what I was looking for too. Yeah, Mike Somer, are you here? If not, I'm gonna have to re-roll. You do have to be present to win.
I'm
Gabe,
keeping an eye out for you.
I saw Gabe earlier and forgot to say hi to him. How are you, brother? He said thoughts on the Chinese spy balloon and shadow cause a brief topwater bite. No, it's the opposite. If it was a full moon Chinese spy balloon, then they've already ate all the fish because it was light longer. And
I think it was a UFO, man. It was a UFO.
Dude, they're real.
Did you see they shot that down in California somewhere?
Yeah.
No.
Like they
Also-
they flew out like a couple of fighter jets and shot it down.
Oh my. Gramps in the house too. What's up, brother? I did see you earlier. I don't remember if I said hi to you or not. Mike Somer. I haven't seen him. Mike, are you in here?
Yeah, I would say last call for Mike. Mike, are you in here?
Mike calling Mike. Mike Somer must be present to
Oh
win.
wait, he's here. 904. He's here.
He's here. Okay, Mike. Mike, if you would send me an email, debosfishing@gmail.com with a
Please do.
screenshot of your YouTube deal so I know it's you. And then, of course, where to send it. Mike is here. Okay, cool. So, whoops, I guess I should take that off. All right, let's roll with the questions. I've got 2 more. So we're at 1:30. I'm keeping you guys later. I'm sorry. I'm going over my time here.
That does.
Caesar, with the numbers of anglers skyrocketing recently, how are largemouth populations being impacted? Is this anything that you have looked into or heard about, Shan? Is it? Because I know around here, and I don't know if this is what Caesar's talking about, but there are gentlemen around here that will be sitting on buckets and keep every single fish known to man.
Mhm.
And I've seen a lot more people like that recently, just keeping everything. Now, I think it could go 2 ways, and I think Shan might might kind of cheer for the latter of what I'm thinking. But like, has this been talked about with the boom and post-COVID, anglers getting into it?
Sure. Yeah, I've seen lots of discussions about this kind of stuff, and my opinions will be mixed up. It'll kind of sound like I'm talking in both directions until you kind of fully understand what's going on with that.
That's what I figured too. Yep.
Sorry, I'm having a bit of something in my eye.
Oh, that's all right. If you need to hop off.
Yeah, let me just go to the bathroom real quick and
Yeah.
No worries.
I'll mute you real quick. I don't know if I can. Oh, there we go. Yeah. Okay, so let's see. There was some for us too. So the next ones I do want to make sure Shan talks about because those are good ones for him. Let's see.
I've just been kind of watching and responding to people here. I was going to ask Shan about the crappies, if it's actually accurate that crappies are not a good forage for bass just because of their body size or style, I guess, how like tall they are. I've always heard that crappie are not good because they tend to lodge more when bass try to eat them. But I guess, I don't know. I'm not a fisherologist.
Let's see. There was some questions about gear. Somebody had asked a question about a reel. It might have been Usama Khan asking about. All right, we got you back, Shan. Asking about the new SLXs. I did see it was like SLXA or something. I honestly have been really disjointed from the gear and stuff. I have not been. Yeah, right there. I don't know because I think they had a new like XT SLX XT DC or something, which I don't know what the difference would be in that between the regular SLX DC, but I haven't looked into it. But yeah, I would like to try if they're going to do a new version of the SLX. I would like to try it. Okay, let me do another question here.
We didn't answer Caesar's question.
Oh yes, the fish. Sorry,
I can't remember what the question was though.
Right here, with the number of anglers skyrocketing, how are largemouth populations being impacted?
Okay, so let's talk about how we can measure that because that's going to go on a lake by lake basis, right?
Sure. Yep.
So what I would say is I would challenge anybody who's concerned about that to learn about relative weights. And I have a chart that can kind of, it's like a standard weight of a bass or like a standard weight chart at a doctor. Like you go to the doctor, it says you're 6 feet tall, you should be 195 pounds, right? A standard weight chart for bass, and they make them for bluegill, for red ear. They're the exact same thing. They tell you, they give you a frame of reference as to how healthy that bass is for its length. So I can tell you this, in areas where largemouth bass are being over harvested, what happens is they get very fat. They get extremely hard to catch. Like you go to catch, you might go 10, 15, 20 trips without catching a bass, but the bass that you will catch will be huge, extremely fat, like what they call with shoulders.
How do you explain my problem? I go 15 to 20 trips without catching anything, and when I do, they're still pound and a halfers.
Competition.
Did you say
So, Shannon,
competence? I'm not competent.
Yeah, complete incompetence.
You suck.
No, competition.
Uh-huh.
So you can get into situations where, see, when we talk about removing bass from a pond, we're talking about a simple pond system. Whereas when you start going into bigger lakes, you know, other fish can be impacting bass growth, other predators. And the more predators fish you have, the more complex that whole food web gets, and the harder to manage your bass population it becomes. It's incredibly easy when you have bass and bluegill by themselves. You just remove a few bass, and it you know, it's on autopilot. But when you've got 36 different species of fish in a lake, you know, you don't have that situation.
Makes sense.
But I would challenge our anglers to learn how to measure relative weight. And then that way you can see, because what will happen is your relative weights will get super high when your bass population is being over harvested. And by super high, I mean like 140% relative weight, you know, like a 24-inch bass on my relative weight chart would be like 8.1, and it would be like 10, like super heavy. You know, that's what a bass in a population of a low bass population looks like. And I would challenge anyone to show me one, because they're really hard to find in North America.
It is
crowded
really
with bass,
interesting.
or they're crowded with predators of some kind.
It is really interesting to look at. Yeah, to see. I know Philip just said hashtag relative weight. He's a big you know, fan and proponent of that, showing, okay, if I've caught 10 bass and they're all according to this, you know, chart of years of putting these averages together, every one I've caught is a half pound or almost, you know, 3/4 of a pound lighter than it should be for its length. Like you said, there's either too many of them or they don't have enough to eat, right? And it's usually the previous thing. There's just way too many. That's what we see around here too. And again, stocking for numbers versus size, you know, there's a number of different things that go into it. But yeah, it's interesting.
When you start layering multiple species of predators like green sunfish, crappie, and largemouth bass together, you have got a recipe for no growth.
Yeah, dude, the peg leg, that episode, I saw the one where it was the second time going there, but they're culling out like 4 and 5 pounders to make more room for the 8 and 9 pounders in this dude's lake. And they're catching like 200 fish, and they're taking out like 50 of them, and they're like a bunch of 2, 3, 4 pounders. Like, holy crap.
I've had that happen to me a couple of times, where the 5 and 6 pounders are just, there's so many of them,
dude.
They won't go past that, and you have to harvest them. Yeah.
Here's a good one real quick. I'm skipping ahead. Gregory just put this one. How fast will an otter destroy a small body of water? Like, we've got places where, so Randy and I fish in a spot that used to be frog heaven, and there's probably a family of, I don't know, 7 otters in it now. How long will it take them to destroy that?
The butchers are here.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
Otters are funny that way, man, because otters are like cats kind of in a way, where, you know how a cat will catch and kill something, not necessarily because it wants to eat it, just because it can catch it and kill it.
Just raccoons do the same thing.
That's what an otter is, man. Like, we had I guess the best way to summarize my experience with otters was in college, like my very first experience with them. We had a 1/3 of an acre pond that we grew. I think it was a couple thousand catfish out to about a pound as in our aquaculture class at Georgia. And the first year I took it, you know, kind of as a student, and like I paid for the class. The second time I took it, I didn't pay for the class. I just kind of volunteered my time to be there, you know. But the first time I took it as a student, and we grew, I don't know, there's almost 3,000 catfish out to about a pound in about a year. And we had a big fish fry, and the special needs kids came and caught a bunch of fish, and it was this whole great thing for the community, and it worked out beautifully. The second year, the otters came, and 3,000 catfish turned to 3. Literally 3.
Is this are you telling us like a horror movie story right now?
It was. They
It sounds like it to me.
They cut their heads off. They bite their head.
Oh,
and,
Jesus.
and leave them on the
They
bank.
put their heads on pikes.
They was like
Warning the
Apocalypse
others.
Now. It was like Apocalypse Now. It was brutal. They killed all the fish.
I heard the otters even built a dam, like a round dam, Thunderdome Dam, and they let 2 fish enter and only 1 leaves, and they just kill it too. So
they use the
as soon as it leaves the victor, it gets killed anyway.
They use the other fish's blood like war paint.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so it's bad. Now DeBurley, aggressively average OG hype man, says more intrusive, beavers or turtles on a lake.
Neither one of them really bother me too much. Beavers, I don't want in my drain system. You know, if they're jacking with the drain, okay. But now here's another thing about beaver huts, though. Any other time you see a beaver hut,
throw at it.
Dude. A beaver hut is automatic for the people.
Agreed. Yeah, agreed, dude. If you find a beaver hut, find wood, pitch to wood. That's like find beaver hut, catch 20 fish. I've had the exact same experience.
Yes, man. The beaver hut should be everybody's like. As soon as you see it, you should just start like doing a little dance mentally, because every fish in the pond will be on it at some point in that day, dude. That's
exactly where I caught my largest pike this year. Was almost 9 pounds, sitting right in the front of a beaver hut. Smacked it.
So, if I throw and I happen to hook up with a turtle, how long is it going to take for that hook to disintegrate out of the turtle's body? Because I'm just going to cut the line and let it swim off. I'm not messing around with that.
All right, it'll be okay. You don't have to feel guilty.
They're tough. They're tough.
Jason.
Hell, I remember my grandpa.
Wilson.
So I don't know if we have any trappers in here. I have not kept on the legacy. My grandpa used to trap snapping turtles, and they would use like a coffee can with like nails in it. So they would go in for the bait, and then they couldn't get their head back out. And then, he'd go harvest them and stuff. But there was one that had like ripped like half of its neck off, and like he could never catch it because it was so big, and it lived forever. The guy ended up just letting it live there because I think grandpa had killed all the other snapper turtles there. So there's just this one big one that got like half of its neck ripped off and lived for who knows however. They're tough, dude. They're tough as hell. And I've heard of people like shooting them, busting like part of their shell in there, live. Like they're just grimy, dirty, tough little
bookers, they're really just kind of the garbage compactor for your lake. There's a lot of natural fish mortality. Fish die every day out there just because that's what, everything has a life, a time, and it dies for whatever reason. And your turtles will come along and eat those slow, dead and dying fish up. So you don't really see them that much. And that's kind of a trick too. Like when you see some dead fish floating, that kind of gives you a clue that you're having a little bit of a thing, because they're when you see dead fish out there floating past what the turtles are consuming, because the turtles can consume quite a lot. And there's always turtles, there's always critters like that around. But they're not hurting, and you can shoot them all you want. You're just going to get more in from the environment. They're not really negatively impacting the fish population.
Yeah, and I don't ever that's a great point. I don't ever see beavers beavers. Well, I've just read Lost in Tackles. Beavers scare the heck out of me. Yeah, especially when it's dark and they slam the tail and it sounds like somebody just shot a cannon into the water.
Yeah,
Jason is here. Everybody's been here so far.
Boom. Okay, there he is.
All right,
that's what I was checking for.
So far. Yep.
Yeah, but Shan brings up a good point. I've never seen a snapping turtle, minus that one year where I was fishing that frog, and that snapping turtle was just hopped up on Mountain Dew and wouldn't leave me alone. You don't ever see like snapping turtles chasing fish. It's like he's saying, they've usually got some old dead gnarly fish that they're like chewing on in the corner.
I've had one snapping turtle come after a spinnerbait, white spinnerbait. And I look down as, it's real close to the shore, and I see this giant turtle behind it. It kind of freaked me out.
They're cool, man. They can be really old, too. I had a few guys follow me that knew a lot about turtles. We got off into a debate about them, talking about them. They're amazing.
All right, let's see. Well, those are the giveaways. I hope everybody enjoyed that. We've got a couple more questions I'm going to roll here. Then I will be privy to these gentlemen's time. I appreciate Shan for jumping on. We've got, I think, 3 more starred here.
Hey, real quick, since Shan's obviously back, and I asked my question right as he took off there for a second. Crappie so you're trying to grow some large bass. Crappie are probably not the best. Are they not the best thing to have in there? And why is that so? Other than the competition as a predatorial fish.
Actually, crappie, succulent, speckled perch. They go by many names. They're the worst fish you can have in a pond.
Okay.
Yeah, they're not good. And
are they just so like ferocious that they just kill everything off? It's not. So when I originally heard it was that the crappie were too tall of a fish for a bass, and it caused issues with them trying to eat it. Is that also valid?
That's a valid point. They're definitely not the best shaped fish. I'll just touch on my experience with them because I don't have any science on that really, but I think like their behavior has something to do with why they don't make the best forage. They school, you know?
Yeah.
And bass will school, but bass generally tend to orient, to structure. So that's why I like bluegill, because bluegill orient to structure. So you've got bass and the forage mixed into the same areas. It seems like in ponds, the crappie will be away from the bass. Like they won't, I can tell with the electrofishing boat, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like they'll be in a school out in the middle, nowhere near the blowdowns or the rock or near anything that the bass associate to in the daytime. So the bass don't prey on them all day because they're schooled up. Now, how they do with them at night, I don't know. But you can also, going back to relative weight, where we actually are adding a measurement, right? That's where I'm going from. That's where I'm coming from. If you say I've got a 15-acre lake and it's got crappie, I can already tell you what your relative weight calculations are going to look like. I don't have to go
below average.
Yeah, low.
Sure.
Yeah. And there's not a lot. I've seen guys try to fix it with plenty of bread, trying to spread that money out over the top of that and fix a situation like that without draining and getting rid of the crappie. And it doesn't work, man. You can pump all the cash you want, all the stocking you want, all the money you want. It don't fix it.
So is it physically possible to fish out a certain type of fish if they're overpopulated? So it's like crappie. Can you actually fish those fish out of there versus totally draining and starting over?
It's not possible to fish a fish out with hook and line. No. And in fact, most of the time you can't catch enough crappie to make a difference. They replace themselves about as fast as you can pull them. If you can pull them that fast.
Say I have a pretty small pond, like a little farm pond. I dug it out back in the day. It's stream fed the whole nine, so that's positive there. At one point in time, it had monster bass, 5 pluses, multiple of them. But over time, all of a sudden, you get those stunted fish, and then the little ones come up. There's no way for me to do anything other than just drain the whole thing and start anew.
Yeah, that's the best way to do it, and it's the least expensive way to do it. Because you guarantee you get rid of the crappie, even if they're coming down the stream back to you. What you're describing to me is one we're about to drain, my buddy's pond in South Georgia. We drained it. It fished awesome for about a decade. Fish come back in, the balance gets off. My buddy, let's just put real numbers to it. It's a 9-acre pond, right? And my buddy is a real good fisherman. He's fished his whole life. Goes out, and I'm like, just do it, man. We're gonna drain it. We know how to fix it, but let's just see if we can go hit it as hard as we can. So for 2 years, we just made trips down and hit that, and he fished that pond hard. He ended up taking like 3,000 crappie out of that thing, like hand size, in 2 years. Buckets
could never keep
after
up with it, huh?
buckets after buckets after buckets of crappie out of a 9-acre pond. And the only thing that happened is the golden shiner population got bigger.
Something else replaced it.
So there's no bluegill hardly. The bass population is light, and the reason why the bass population gets light around crappie is because they spawn earlier in the spring than largemouths, right? You know that. We all know that. Every fisherman knows the crappie are up on the edge earlier, right? Well, forget about the adults. Let's think about, again, almost microscopic. All those crappie are born, right? How many millions of crappie? Because that's what they do, right? They hatch into millions and millions, and only a few survive. Millions and millions of crappie, the most efficient predator in fresh water, are ahead of your largemouth bass on the zooplankton source that they need to be eating when they hatch.
So then the bass aren't.
And I look at Randy's head, man. He just had I saw the light go on over his head. Right?
Yeah.
So what happens, man, is that zooplankton source is zapped when the bass hatch out. They got nothing to eat. They starve in 24 hours of being born.
So that's what they said. The same for like the yellow bass. It wasn't the fact that they were competing like once they're big. It's when they're little, they're eating everything, and then the little bass don't have anything.
It's microscopic fish wars, yeah, man, and they don't mix that way, and you never make them fix that way. And that's the thing. You never even see what's going on because they're so small. You know.
I just envisioned like this underwater like tanks and jets and like bazookas and ARs just going crazy on each other.
And then the otters come in and just mess everything up.
And that's it. It's all over.
Okay, we have one more. I'm going to do one more, then we're getting out of here. This is one that is interesting to me because I know they are on the invasive species list here in Iowa. Matthew, I don't know if you're here in Iowa or not, but are rusty crawfish as bad as the DNR is making them out to be? Yes. So here you actually can't even keep them in possession to fish as bait. They're so like bad invasive, like you can't even like have them. Yes. So what is the deal? Is it just because are they so prolific that they're just running the native like craws out, or what's the deal?
Well, that's a good question, man. And I remember well, Andrew, he comes through every once in a while. Tackle Talk, Andrew.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, man. He had a good talk with a crawfish guy. That's the best crawfish talk I've heard in a while.
Really? Okay. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah.
He's my long drive guy. So I haven't been in any long drives. That's when I bring up Tackle Talk.
Yeah, that guy's talk on crawfish was he was like, a scientist with them.
Oh.
But definitely I collected the more from that talk than any. And I don't really know the ins and outs of this rusty crawfish, but the DNR doesn't make anything up like that. They, everything they say is true. You don't want invasive things of any kind in the environment. We don't want to move this stuff around for reasons. And what I came away with from the scientist guy that I heard talk about it was they haven't even really identified all the crawfish yet, right? So your native crawfish in your area might be like kind of a subspecies, a new species, a different species, a slightly different than, and not even really identified yet. So with that in mind, when I'm having a pond, and I've been doing this really about the past 10, 15 years, I really don't stock crawfish because I feel like, why would you want to displace the natural crawfish with a crawfish from someplace else?
Yeah, they're going to find their way in anyway. Like that's the thing, is they're going to make their way to your waterway.
They're in the water. Yeah, they're everywhere. You already have them. So I always felt like now I'm not saying that I did not give they're scrapers. So I want gravel, I want riprap, I want rock beds, I want some areas that to sweeten up for my crawfish.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I'm not introducing crawfish from someplace else. Normally what I do is let the pond sit with no predators for a year and just fill up with bluegill and
get that bulked up.
And the crawfish are like lobsters in that thing after 12 months with no bass. So that's normally how I do it. But yeah, don't transport crawfish. And really, I don't think you need to stock crawfish, honestly. I think that's kind of a waste of money.
All right. Well, we're ending on, it's funny, but we've got the hashtag microscopic fish wars going around. I might have that in my tanks here soon. So, all right, listen, folks, we are over time.
Wait, hold on. Wait,
stop. What? Yep.
Before you try to close out anything, the people have spoken and the people want to know fudge stripe.
Oh gosh, fudge stripe. I wasn't even going to go there yet. So I was going to do
Oh Lord, we need to be sitting down for this.
A video almost. Hopefully he gets through it. So here's talking about adding things that you shouldn't have and trying to manage your pond. I was trying to manage my fish tank in my 45 gallon. I threw some little rosy shiners in, thinking fudge stripe would eat them. He didn't. Not even thinking about the fish transferring disease to him. The rosy minnows had fin rot, gave it to fudge stripe, who now has fin rot. So I just treated the 45 gallon tank for fin rot with, oh gosh, what is it? Micro something. It's a bacteria, as I understand it. Fin rot's a bacteria. So I treated with that. I did a parasite and then ICX. So I did the 3-stage cycle that should take parasite, bacteria, and fungus. He still has like the white lines on him, so hopefully he doesn't die from it. But I'll do an update soon. Hopefully he's going to be okay. He's a little bit more active. I haven't seen Frank in here. Frank's my go-to guy on that stuff. But hopefully he turns around. I've got a couple other fish tanks, so I'll do like a day in the life at Debo. There's Usama. I was going to say Usama Khan too, one of my fish friends. Oh, there's Frank. Yeah, so it should be an interesting kind of journey with the fish tank stuff. That's a whole different set of things, I know, but kind of a fun deal. But yeah, he's doing all right. Hopefully, I was hoping we could get him up big. Hopefully he'll live. I don't know, but he's kicking. He's a little tattered, a little beat up, but. So for everybody else, Dizzle, thanks for joining. Shan, where can everybody find you?
Oh, here, there, everywhere.
Here, there, everywhere. Look him up. Instagram, the aquatic biologist. Shan's also on. Are you doing YouTube stuff still?
Yeah, man. I got a
YouTube.
I've almost got 1,000 people now.
Oh, hell yes. Okay.
Yeah, almost. And then I only need like 4,000 more viewing hours, and I'll make some money.
Yeah, hey, man. I mean, it's a grind. It's a grind and a half. But listen, give Shan a follow. Give Randy a follow. We want to try to get Randy to 1,000 subscribers without a single video. That's that's the deal here. But
Randy has more subscribers than me, and he doesn't even have any videos.
No,
that's what we're trying to do.
I'm at 307 right now. I got 307.
Oh my gosh!
No videos.
Now just ego hurt. Now butt hurt.
Yeah. Hey, listen. You lost the lure thing. You redeemed yourself. You redeemed yourself with the fish species, then you go losing to him, and he hasn't even put a video out.
I lied about all that. All that was a lie. None of that was true.
Just random guesses. Yeah. Just flinging it out there. Oh my gosh. Well, what a fun time. Shan, thanks for joining. Dizzle. And of course, everybody that watches, we love you all. Thank you all for watching tonight. And until next Saturday.